How do you know that you're making the right decisions? 11th hour starts now. Decision making. Why is it so important? I mean, with life's responsibilities, consequences, and all the things that can happen from good or bad decisions, it's actually something that is in the minds of so many people. So, how do you make good decisions? Do you just flip a coin and use that to help you to make your decisions in life? Well, let's explore and discover what people do in their decision-making processes. And let's first start with some college students and see how they make their decisions. Let's check it out.
How do you know you're making the right decision? Truth is, you never do.
I think it's a feeling you have.
Oh, I feel like it. I also think about all the logical ways.
I think it's important when you're trying to make the right decision to not only take how your decision is going to affect you into account, but how it's going to affect your friends, your family, other parties that might be involved. So
A gut feeling, you know what you're on the right path to do, and also your happiness. Like if you're doing something that you enjoy, there's something ineffable about that. You just know in your guts that you're making the right choice.
So approaching something from more of an objective standpoint as well as a subjective one, weighing kind of emotion, logic to make sure that you really are making the right decision is probably what makes it easiest, is if you take in the accounts of, or the opinions of everybody else.
I try all the options, how to solve if it's kind of problem, and if I feel like it's right, I'll do for it. I'll go for it.
It's just a matter of dictating the pros and cons in your situation and trying to dictate whether or not me going forth with the decision is going to benefit me or not. I mean, like I said, you're never going to know, but it's called life. It's a learning experience. You do what you can out of it, learn from it, and you move on. As simple as that.
Welcome to The Response, where Kathleen and I will give a response to some of the answers that you just heard. Let's take a look at the first one.
A gut feeling, you know what you're on the right path to do, and also your happiness. Like if you're doing something that you enjoy, there's something ineffable about that. You just know in your guts that you're making the right choice.
So what he's talking about is use your instincts. How he makes his decisions, that if he feels right about it, or his guts or his instincts tell him yes, make that decision, then he moves on it. And if it's something, and his decision making goal is happiness for oneself. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, and that is actually a rule of thumb that many people use.
Well, I think even just going to eat somewhere, when we make a decision, we do it based on what we like to eat, of course, right?
Yeah.
And not always what's healthy, or maybe what's healthy. And so there's variables about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can be even indecisive about what we eat.
Well, I mean,
small things.
Sometimes
big
I'm
things.
more like that, more kind of the logical thing about it. But you're one of those instinct people yourself. Like you kind of go, you're very instinctual. You're quick to the decision making.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's more decisiveness. It's like, let's just do this or do that, and see what happens.
Yeah, but that's good, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. But let's take a look at our next answer.
So approaching something from more of an objective standpoint as well as a subjective one, weighing kind of emotion, logic to make sure that you really are making the right decision is probably what makes it easiest, is if you take in the accounts of, or the opinions of everybody else.
Well, there you go. What you're seeing here is that he's kind of coming from a viewpoint of logic, weighing it out, trying to look at an objective viewpoint, meaning outside of yourself. And what's interesting is he was really considering what other people, in his decision making, what other people think and feel about his decision. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's true that we all can tend to do this. We want to get the best out of 5. It's kind of like flipping a coin. It's something where we say, okay, if 3 people say this, then out of the 5, then this means I need to go in this direction. However, I've also found there's a problem with this because sometimes people just want to hear what they want to hear. So I can go to somebody I know that will agree with me on something where I know I'm kind of wrong about it.
Yeah.
But at least if they kind of console me in it and agree with it, then I can feel better about myself. And so you're not really getting a real objective type of opinion because that person could be skewing it based on your relationship with them.
Based upon how you prompt the question.
How you prompt the question, your
That's
relationship.
True.
And so it really depends if you're really going to get counsel, because I think counsel is good.
Yeah.
But if you're getting counsel based on, I just want someone to agree with me so I can do what I want to do, then really that's not counsel. That's just someone trying to get confirmation in a false way, like a false confirmation for what they're doing.
I have done that before, so I know what you're talking about. But let's go ahead and take a look at this next answer.
It's just a matter of dictating the pros and cons in your situation and trying to dictate whether or not me going forth with the decision is going to benefit me or not. I mean, like I said, you're never going to know, but it's called life. It's a learning experience. You do what you can out of it, learn from it, and you move on. Simple as that.
Wow. I think that, I can really understand it because what he's saying is learn decision making just by trying it. Do it. And the more you do it, the more you learn what's bad decisions and what's good decisions, like a trial and error basis. What do you think about that?
Well, I think a lot of people go off that, and that goes through with reasoning. And when we reason things out, we could get a good answer or a bad answer or situation. Or sometimes we do things based on what worked the last time, which I found personally, just because something went well one way, how you did something or went a certain way, doesn't mean it will in the future. And so just going off of that didn't work for me. I found a new way to do things, which we can talk about later. But I get what he's saying, the pros and cons. And what I like about what he's saying in a way is that he just moves on when he messes up. But some people can't just move on when they mess up. You know what I mean? They're not that positive.
Or sometimes some mess ups will cost you so much that there's a huge consequence.
Exactly.
So that trial and error thing, it can be good. It's kind of like freeing until you lose a finger or something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. Let's go and discover how we can make the best decisions in life. We're going to discover that throughout the show. Let's go on to the next segment. Do I go up or do I go down? Up? No, wait. I think I go down. No. Which one? Which one? So many decisions. No. Wait, which floor? Oh my gosh, there's so many choices. Which one? Which one? Which one? Hi. So many decisions. Should I go this way? Or should I go this way? Oh, which way should I go? Just pick one. No. What if I make the wrong decision? Okay, no wait. No, let's just go ahead and go this way. No, the other way. Okay, what if I go the other way? Oh no, but you'll make the wrong decision. Oh my gosh, I'm getting lost. So thirsty. Which one should I drink? Oh, well, drink some pop. Tastes better. No, wait, drink some water. Water is a better decision to drink. Yes. No, pop tastes much better. Yes, pop tastes so much better. No, you need the water. The pop, water, pop, water, pop. Hey! Yeah. Why am I so bad at making decisions? What if I make the wrong one? I must find a way to make decisions. Oh, yes. I will let fate make my decisions. And then I will find my destiny. So thirsty. Oh, which one? My favorite. Soda.
Real live radio show where people with real problems find answers in a real God.
So I became even more depressed. I decided that it was maybe better off for me to be dead. 2 days before the month was over, I was laying in my bed. I was awake, and all of a sudden, my room filled up with this light, and there was no doubt that the person that was visiting me that night was God.
13 years old, I started selling drugs. I started living that type of life. That lifestyle became like my mother and father. So I stole in order to go to juvenile detention so I could have a place to sleep.
Join us for the Real Life Radio Show, where people with real problems found answers in a real God. We're on 94.7 FM The Word nightly, Monday through Friday at 9:45 p.m. How do I know that I'm making the right decision? Well, I think that when there's a big decision to be made, it can be difficult for all of us. Should I work at this job or should I work at this job? Should I move out of the state or stay here? Should I go to this college or that college? And it can be kind of like overwhelming. It can cause someone to even freeze in their emotions. And when it comes to small decisions, sometimes people even have a hard time deciding what to eat at the dinner table. We've all been with that person where we go out to eat and they don't even know what they want to eat. And they're the last one ordering and it takes forever, right? For me, being impatient, I'm like, just pick something, right? But when it comes to making decisions that matter most in your life, what do? Well, I can remember what I would do. A lot of times through my life, what I would do is I would do this whole thing of pros and cons. I would write down what's the best thing and the worst thing, the pros and the cons, and I'll go with that, if that makes sense. The other thing I would do is just get advice from everybody. But everyone had different opinions most of the time. And so I would take like the best out of 5 or something. But that didn't always work either. And the other way that I would make decisions is based on my feelings. Now, my feelings kind of can go all over the place sometimes. So if I'm going based off my feelings, I'll probably never do what I'm supposed to do. For instance, working out. I hate working out. So if I go off of my feelings, I'll probably never work out, which I kind of don't right now. But I want to. And so we have to come up with something more than just the way we feel. We have to find a better solution, because if we just go off of reasoning, intuition, how we feel, it may be the wrong decision. But there's a better decision. There's a better way that I've learned to do. But in the meantime, seeking that decision can be hard. So yes, you can write it all out. Yes, you can have your emotions and feelings, but those emotions and feelings can lie to you. And if you just go off of what you think is best, like I said, it can have devastating effects. But what I have found is to take all of these thoughts, these emotions, these feelings, these advices, whatever they are, and give them to God and just seek Him. Give them to you, Lord. Your will be done. What do you want? And He will show me the way, as He will with you.
Welcome to Untwisting Science, where we're going to find out what science has to say about the subject at hand. Let's take a look here. Decision making. What can we learn about the mind when it comes to decision making? Michelle, how does decision making work in the brain?
Decision making usually is a struggle between the different hemispheres of the brain, the logic side of thinking and the intuition side of thinking. Those two parts of our brain are working to help us make our everyday decisions. Both parts are in a struggle that happens for every person in making everyday decisions.
Well, let me explain this further. The brain has two equal hemispheres, but both hemispheres are doing something different. It was previously thought that the left hemisphere of the brain was responsible for logical thinking, and that the right hemisphere was responsible for intuition, creativity, that type of thinking. However, recent studies have revealed that this is generically true, but the brain is much more complex than that. Decision making is a struggle with both sides. There's two sides, the logical side and the intuitive side. The intuitive side is more the guts-based decision making. It goes on when a person has learned through past experiences. It's faster at decision making, and it's deeply tied to the emotions. The logical or the rational parts of our brain, they tend to go slower, taking longer to make decisions because of weighing the answers to that decision. Well, the quick decision style, it is much faster, and it relies on just your intuition. But the slow decision-making style, it's rational and it's calculating. Well, impulsive decisions, we can look back and just say, darn it, I wish I would have thought about that longer. Have you ever felt that way? Well, many of us, we get to that part of our life where we're constantly making impulsive decisions that can end up being bad decisions, like overeating, overspending, not getting responsibilities done, etc. Some of us just wish that that impulsive, intuitive side would just go away. Or do we? Michelle, is there any research out there that suggests that the intuitive side is bad for decision making?
Actually, that has been found to be incorrect through a case study of Antonio Damasio. He had a patient named Elliot who was a successful businessman and role model. He started to get headaches, and they had to remove a tumor from the part of the brain that had more in touch with his emotions, leaving the brain alone with only logic and reasoning. He became a person that had difficulty in making decisions.
Wow. So you would think that if you removed, and if you had a struggle and you removed just one side of it, that it's like, oh, well, I'm going to be able to make quick, logical decisions. But instead, It was a disconnect. He wasn't easily able to make decisions. So what does that mean? Decision making is much more complex than just being logical or taking time to make decisions. In truth, decision making involves the struggle because it helps us get to the right decision as much as we can. However, even with that, there's still so much human error in our decisions. No matter who you are, we're all subject to making bad decisions, even if it's the most rational, logical decision. And because life has so many variables, who knows what your decisions will actually have what type of outcome? So, logical thinking, it's not good enough to be right all the time, but also intuitive thinking, it's not good enough because there's a lot of human error. So then, how do we overcome these parts? How do we know truly that we're making the right decisions in our lives? To know that, we have to look further than logic, further than our brains. Let's check out the next segment. We'll see you soon, and this is Untwisting Science.
Did you know that we have an orphanage called Awakening the Nations located in Uganda, Africa? At our orphanage, we have 39 children who we provide for every day. These children are in need of clothing, food, clean water, medical care, and education. Recently, we were able to provide them with mattresses and mosquito nets. In order to continue providing for these children, we need your help. Would you consider donating to our ministry at awakeningthenations.com? We're not only called to share the good news of the gospel, but to help the poor, the needy, and the fatherless. Many of these children have been orphans because their parents were in war and killed. Evangelist Anle goes every year to visit these children. Please consider bringing hope to the hopeless and linking arms with us to spread the love of God. Your love gift of any amount will be appreciated, and we'll send you a one-time gift for encouraging us, a CD for your donation of $25 or more. Again, please contact us at awakeningthenations.com to make your donation.
Hi, welcome to Bible Rubiks, where we're here to find out what God has to say about the subject at hand. So how do you know you've made the right decision? People always say hindsight is 20/20. Of course, when we look back at our decision, we say, oh, I should have made this decision. Oh, I should have made that decision. It's almost better if we knew the future that would help us with our decision making. I guess that's why so many people, they visit fortune tellers, soothsayers, and silly things like that. But the truth is, that's not a great decision-making process. By random chance or just logic, we need to be able to see past ourselves to really know if we're making the right decision. So what does the Bible have to say about this? Well, in the book of John, chapter 10, verses 2, Jesus says, but he who enters by the door is a shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them. And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. What this means is that Jesus, who knows the beginning and the end of your life, is saying that he's your shepherd, and he's good. And he's speaking to you every day and every moment. The question is, are we hearing him? Are we knowing his voice and letting him guide us from step by step in our lives? Because this is what I've done. Before, it was always logic, or it was always something else. But today, the way I make my decisions is I bring it up to the Lord and I say, Lord, I want to hear your voice. Give me peace in the decision I'm about to make. How do you know that Jesus will make the right decision for you? How do you know if it's in your best interest? Well, it says quite clearly in John chapter 10, verses 7, it says, most assuredly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All whoever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief, He does not come except to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that they may have life, and they may have it more abundantly. You see, God has a plan for you. Actually, He says that He knows the plan He has for you in your life. If you're willing to surrender to Him, His plan and His decision-making skills to get you to that plan are much better than any plan you could ever conjure up yourself. I've experienced this in my life. I had a set plan, but I didn't even know the decisions I needed to make to get there. But when I gave my life to Jesus Christ, I began to seek Him out for every decision, and I had peace and understanding in every decision I made. And there hasn't been a decision where I look back and say, oh man, I wish I would have made this decision. Because every decision is from the Lord, and He knows even beyond my mistakes and beyond my successes, because He's the one who's guiding me. He is the Good Shepherd. So maybe you're saying, I don't have this in my life. I don't have the Good Shepherd in my life, and I want Him. It's so easy, my friend. You just call upon Him and say, Jesus, I want You to be my Good Shepherd. Help me to make the decisions in my life better than I've ever experienced. I master this in Jesus' name. I hope you've been blessed today by this 11th hour, and until next time, we'll see you then.
We want to thank you for watching the 11th hour, sponsored by Awakening the Nations. Awakening the Nations Ministry is a non-for-profit ministry reaching people through TV, radio, and events.
Our goal is to reach people across the U.S. and the nations with the powerful, life-changing gospel message. Right now, we're doing that through our real-life radio show, which is on 16 stations here in the U.S. and in Canada. Our hope is to go across this country and, of course, abroad. We're also on this TV show reaching people now, but we need to expand, and that's our desire, and we can't do it without you. Thank you so much for your support.
For your donation of $25 or more, Ann and Kathleen would like to send you their new book, Evidence, where they feature people who did not believe in God, but had an encounter that changed their lives. Their stories will encourage your faith and bring hope to your situation. If you call now, they will also send you their 4-CD variety pack from their real-life radio show. On the CDs, you will hear life-changing stories from people who were raised from the dead, free from addiction, those who struggle with their sexual identity, and women who are victims of sex trafficking but escape. Call now to make your donation at 877-480-4477. That's 877-480-4477. Or you can make a donation online at awakeningthenations.com and click the donate button, and in the message box type the number 11.
Thank you again so much for your support, and together we will be awakening the nations.